Hi guys, this is Danielle and I'm going to teach you how to make an enchilada dinner. Alright, so we're going to start by cutting up the avocados, and I just cut them down the middle like that, and then I scoop them out sort of with a knife. Try not to cut your arms off. Maybe do a dance. Okay, then obviously you mash up the avocados real good, get some anger out. Okay, next you're gonna cut up a tomato, and I just cut it in half and then like dice it up really fine, and then half tomato. Next I got an onion out. I cut the onion in half and just used very little onion. So chop it up real fine. Again, you don't want to be like choking on pieces of onion or tomato. Throw that in there. Guacamole is just kind of a mixture of a bunch of stuff. Alright, next we have a green pepper. Kind of spicy. I think I only used like half of it though. Yeah, there we go. Use half of it. I cut it in half so that I could cut out all the seeds, because that's like the really spicy part. Then I just minced it up like really good. I put that aside just for a second. So next we have the cilantro, and what you're going to do here is just peel off the leaves of the vine of the cilantro. Put them in a pile. I chopped them up really finely. Some people like them a little bit bigger. I don't like them to get stuck in my teeth. You can still use the rest of them later, just put them to a side. So yeah, ground them out real fine, and then I put them in a dish aside like I did the pepper. And then next we're just going to cut up the lime. I cut it into 4 pieces, and then I just kind of went accordingly. I like a lot of lime in my guacamole. So then I put everything in there. Little by little, you can leave some in the bowls just so that you can add it later if it's too much or too little. I might have made mine too spicy or too sour, I'm not quite sure. I put a lot of lime, like I said. I think I ended up using almost that whole lime. Then I put some garlic salt in there, just a little bit of extra flavor. I'm pretty generous with the garlic salt because I like it. And that's pretty much all you need in there. Just really mix it up. I sometimes like it to be a little chunkier than it needs to be, but you're done. Okay, moving on to our side dish, the Mexican rice. Here's some of our ingredients. We have rice, water, tomato sauce, garlic. We're going to start off with some vegetable oil. You're just going to put enough to coat the bottom of the pan. It doesn't need to be an overwhelming amount. Just enough so that all of the rice can be covered in it. You're just going to want to spread the rice evenly and then stir that all in there and make sure that all of it has a little bit of oil on it. It just makes it brown. Just make it until it's brown. Stir that around pretty frequently. I leave that frying on there for about a minute or two. And then once I'm done with that, I put 2 cups of water in. So it's 2 cups of water for every 1 cup of rice. Once that happens, once you put the water in, you just want to stir it occasionally and let it simmer on the stove. I usually put the lid on it, but you don't have to. Oh, I also include garlic salt before I put the lid on, just because I feel like it gives the rice flavor while it's cooking. But you don't put anything else in other than that. Leave it to cook for a few minutes. It probably takes about 12 minutes or so. While I'm doing that, I'll also just go ahead and start the chicken for the chicken enchiladas. Because it takes a while. I'm gonna actually just do pulled chicken. So that's where you boil the chicken, and then once it's cooked, you pull it apart into shreds. But that just kind of does its own thing. And make sure you're checking on the rice every once in a while. It will stick and burn. So just keep stirring that. And don't forget to turn your chicken. You don't want one side of it to be cooked and not the other. It should look white. That's definitely too pink still. It'll look white on both sides. You can cut it open just to check on it. But at this point it doesn't need it. So next we're going to put the tomato sauce into the white rice once most of the water has evaporated. It doesn't have to look that cool. But hey, we can't all be this awesome. So I just put one small can of tomato sauce in. It's still pretty watery. You want it to absorb all that. Let it simmer for a while longer. The whole rice ordeal should take about 20-25 minutes or so. I added probably more garlic salt after that, and in between. Make sure it's not burning. Shred some cheese on the side, and put some cheese in. I'm big on cheese, so it's going to be real cheesy rice. My mom actually likes to eat Mexican rice with bananas. It's actually pretty good. It is kind of strange though. I think it's maybe like the sweet savory thing. Alright, so the rice looks pretty much done. I think just leave it, to stay warm a little bit. The chicken looks pretty good. It's all white now. So that's done with. Okay, time to try it, see if it needs anything else. It was really hot and I burned myself. You gotta be careful with that. Okay, next part is the enchiladas, which is the main course. Here are our ingredients. And of course, not to forget, our chicken. So the first step we're going to do is pull the chicken apart, like I said earlier. I only used like half of it because it was just me and one other person. So to do that, you just take 2 forks and basically just pull it apart with the 2 forks until it looks shredded into like thin slices. Kind of like how you do pulled pork, it's the same thing. I put it all in a dish on the side and left it there. We'll come back to that at the very end. So this is the hardest part, and this is frying the tortillas and then putting them into the enchilada sauce. I buy my enchilada sauce pre-made. So first what you're going to do is fry the tortillas. I used corn tortillas, and I just put a little bit of canola oil down and then made sure that got hot enough. I dipped the tortilla in and then flipped it. You should use tongs, it's kind of dangerous. But once it gets like crispier, it is a little bit burnt, but there's still oil on it. You can put it in the next pan, and the next pan is just going to have enchilada sauce. A lot of people make their own. I'm not that adventurous, so I just dumped some of the sauce in there. And there you go. Pretty generous about it, making sure the whole pan is coated with it. It is going to be used for all of them. So heat that up for a little bit. I usually turn it off so it doesn't burn, because the sauce will get hard and burn. So just put it in there for a couple seconds, flip it over, make sure it has enough sauce on it. And then the really hard part is just dragging it over to the next pan, because they usually rip. But if you fry them for a long enough period of time, they won't rip, and then you can just put them into the next one, and it's fine. But it's kind of like a piece of paper where if it soaks too hard, it will rip. So I did this a few times. I made a total of 6, 3 for myself and 3 for my boyfriend. So next, once you have them all laying out, you're just going to put cheese in them. So I use shredded cheddar cheese that I shredded myself, and just like a strip along the tortilla. Then you put your chicken in, and that's pretty much all that you need in there. Then you fold them up likewise. You don't need to close them at all, just fold them along one side. I usually put cheese on top so that it kind of stays. And then I do this for all 3, and then you could put them all in the oven. And I usually put more of the enchilada sauce on top, just again so it kind of like sticks together. Put as much chicken and cheese as you want, but make sure you don't put too much, otherwise they won't close.